let's move to the next point, that is soil erosion. So students, the soil has many layers, and the soil which is visible to us, which we can see with our eyes, is the topmost soil. It is called as the topmost layer of the soil, and this soil, that is the soil at the topmost layer, is very fertile, and this soil is good for growing of plants or growing of any crops. But what happens, sometimes because of heavy rains, because of strong winds, this topmost layer of the soil, which is the most fertile layer of soil, is carried away with the heavy rains. Because of the running water, because of the strong winds, this topmost layer is drained away or carried away by the strong winds. And this removal of the topmost layer of the soil or carrying away of this topmost layer of the soil is called as soil erosion. Here you can see the definition. The removal of fertile topsoil by the action of wind, rain and river water is called as soil erosion. And this soil erosion is very bad, because the fertility of the soil is lost because of the soil erosion. Now, what are the causes, or why does this soil erosion occur? There are various reasons. The first is because of the strong winds. When the winds blow with great speed, with great density, what happens? The topmost layer of the soil is carried away or is taken away with these strong winds. So also deforestation is the other cause for soil erosion. What is deforestation? Deforestation means cutting down of trees. The roots of the trees, they hold the soil, and if the trees are cut down, the soil will get loosened up, and because of the strong winds, this soil which is in the loose form will easily get carried away with the strong wind. So also overgrazing is another reason for soil erosion. Overgrazing means, suppose the cattle like cows, buffaloes, goats, sheep, they are made to graze, or they are left for grazing, eating of grass in the same place for a long period. Then what happens? The grass is uprooted by these cattle, and with the uprooting of the grass, the soil at the topmost layer loosens up, and then the same thing happens because of the strong wind. This soil is carried away. Similarly, heavy rains and floods also cause soil erosion. Because of the heavy rains, what happens? And the flood situations, the topmost layer of the soil is drained away with that running water, and the soil loses its fertility and soil erosion takes place. So soil erosion is the removal or carrying away or draining away of the topmost layer of the soil, which is the fertile layer of the soil. Also, we did see causes like strong winds, deforestation, that is cutting down of trees, then overgrazing, that is grazing or eating of grass on a large quantity. Also, heavy rains and floods cause soil erosion. Now, the next point, that is conservation of soil. What is conservation? Conservation means protection of soil. So, what is protection of soil? The protection of soil from its erosion. So, the protection of the soil from the process of getting eroded is called as conservation of soil. So, the fertility of the soil has to be maintained by protecting it from getting eroded, and that process is called as conservation of soil. So, how can we protect the soil from losing its fertility, or how can we conserve the soil? There are few points or few steps that we as human beings can follow to conserve the soil or to protect the soil. So what are the things we can do? First is planting trees. So we have to plant a lot of trees. The number of planting of trees should be more than cutting down of trees. The next is crop rotation. So suppose we will take a piece of land. We have to keep cultivating various types of crops in that same piece of land. Suppose we cultivated paddy in the rainy season. Once the paddy is removed from the field, we have to cultivate some other crop. Because of this rotation of crops, the fertility of that soil remains intact. The fertility of the soil will not be gone away, but the fertility of the soil will keep on increasing because of the rotation of the crops. So also plantation in open fields. So there are various places on this earth which are open fields where no crops are grown, no plants are grown, not even grass is grown. Such open fields should be utilized for at least growing some grass or some plants, because the roots of the plants, they hold the soil, and because of the holding of the soil by these roots, soil erosion does not take place. And this is one of the ways with which we can stop soil erosion, or with the help of which we can control soil erosion. Also, we have to take some steps to prevent floods. And why do floods occur? The floods occur because the level of water in the river increases, and if the rivers are attached or connected to the dams, the rising water in the rivers will not get scattered in the cities, but it will directly go to the dams, and in this way we can prevent floods in the villages, in the cities and in the towns. Also, the next method is step farming. So step farming is one of the methods with the help of which we can avoid soil erosion. Step farming means farming is done by the farmers. They make steps in their fields. The best example we can take about the tea plantation. Where is tea plantation done? It is done in the mountains. And in the mountains there are steep slopes. We do not have a plain surface there, but it is having a steep slope. And in such steep slopes, steps are done, or steps are constructed, not with the help of cement and things, but steps are done in the soil itself, and on such steps farming is done. A plain surface is not available there, but steps are formed. You might have seen at your home, you might have seen some steps. Yes, such steps are formed by the farmers, and farming is done on such steps. Because of such steps, soil erosion does not occur. And embankments are also built. What are embankments? Walls of stones are built by the farmers to avoid the river water to get into their fields. And with the help of such step farming and building of such walls which are made up of stones, the river water is kept away from the farms and farming is done in a better way. So we can follow any of these steps to avoid or to protect the soil from getting eroded. So this was about conservation of soil, that is protection of soil from getting eroded.